drive a car and accidentally hit someone doesn't mean I murder people. It's an accident.
I completely understand if you were to, feel any kind of resentment towards me as well. Quite a lot of the questions you've asked me is sort of where do I draw the line? But where would you draw the line? We're going to get
We're here outside the RSPCA because they are approving gas chambers for pigs. So at 6 months old, pigs go into gas chambers. Joey, who's on the megaphone, just released a documentary called Pignorant. It's free to watch on Amazon Prime. But he's the one who actually put cameras inside a gas chamber. He risked his life to get in there to expose it. Would you guys say you're against animal abuse?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good people like yourselves may be paying for something that involves gas chambers and you don't know. Because I supported the RSPCA. Like as a child, I was like, oh, they're heroes for animals. I really love the RSPCA.
Yeah.
Then I heard these screams from the pigs and I saw the footage and I was like, what? The RSPCA approved this? And not only they approve it, they make money off every individual sold in a supermarket. What's your thoughts?
Why did they approve it in the first place?
To make money. So they're in the pockets of the meat industry.
Right.
So because you guys are against animal abuse, they try and feed into that compassion and kindness in your hearts. So because the RSPCA are trusted, like in my eyes, they were very trusted. If I saw that stamp of approval on like eggs or meat products, I would then pay more to buy them because I think the animal had a good life.
Yeah.
But then I saw the truth and it's absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that you can be against animal abuse and like eat the animals yourself?
I think there is a way to ethically consume meat, not at the rate that most people consume it. Most people eat a lot of meat. They eat every day, all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's particularly ethical. But like in my family, we have a mostly vegetarian diet. Like maybe 5 days out of 7 days a week, we'll eat vegetarian, and then maybe 2 days we'll buy very, very good, high welfare, good quality meat from like local butchers and stuff like that.
What is an ethical way to do it?
Well, I mean, in the same way that it's a kind of circle of life. I mean, not like needlessly keeping animals in incredibly confined circumstances, positive animal welfare, letting animals basically live a good life. I think that...
I know where you're coming from because I used to feel exactly the same. Yeah. I'd pay more for free-range eggs and blah, 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 blah. But there's so many lies behind closed doors.
Yeah.
In the egg industry, male chicks are blended up alive because they're a waste product. Then the egg-laying hens are gassed to death at 18 months old.
Yeah.
In the dairy industry, boys were all killed as babies. There's a lot of torture and murder in all of these industries. Yeah. What if there was an option where we didn't have to kill animals?
Well, I suppose that's just vegetarianism or veganism, I suppose.
Yeah, veganism, you're right. And what is a vegan to you?
I mean, lots of people have got things against vegans. I don't have anything against them. I think they're definitely a positive force in the fight. My girlfriend's a vegetarian.
Okay.
Yeah. I think she made it for a mixture of reasons, sort of environmental, and ethical reasons.
Yeah.
A while ago.
Yeah. So a vegan is somebody who is against the exploitation and use of animal products.
Yeah.
So it's a philosophy, it's a stance against it. It's not a diet, but it just relates to like what you eat. So we avoid eating animals, we avoid eating like eggs, dairy, honey.
Are you vegan yourself?
I'm vegan, yeah. But I hadn't always been.
What do you think about stuff like honey and stuff like that? Do you eat honey?
So I'm against honey as well. They also gas the bees. And I also think when we don't need to do something, we don't have a justification for it. So like the bees will gather their honey for the beehive to eat. So it's like, imagine working for the whole year and someone taking your money and giving you like salt in return.
Yeah. I do understand that, but like that's one part of specific part of veganism I don't quite understand.
Yeah, and I was the same. Actually, when I went vegan, I was learning the whole time.
Yeah.
So that's why it's the philosophy is against the animal use and exploitation. So the moment we see animals as a product for us, that's when they start getting abused, tortured, murdered.
The reason I see it different with bees is the way that they're catched. Like maybe in like very industrial ways to keep bees, I can see how that could lead to exploitation. But I've got a really close family friend who's a really good beekeeper. He basically goes around his friends' houses and he stores a hive. And he has a small super essentially which collects the excess honey that they produce on each of the hives. And he's very ethical. I mean, he doesn't use any kind of toxins or any kind of chemicals on them.
Did you know though that for the hives to always stay there, they actually cut the queen bee's wings off?
No, because he doesn't do that because they actually do swarm sometimes. They move.
Yep.
So they only do that if they're unhappy, and it's only happened once. He doesn't snip the queens. Sometimes extra queens are birthed, which leads the hives to split. Some people kill the extra queens. He doesn't do that. Yeah, and I think that's why.
Your situation you're saying is like backyard eggs.
Yeah.
So like.
So I was going to ask that.
Yeah.
Because as a vegan, would you be against eating? Say you had chickens.
I do, yeah. Yeah, I've got two today.
You would be against eating their eggs.
Yeah. So before these industrial industries happened, this all started from backyard things. Individuals were doing things, and maybe their friends would be like, "Oh, can I have some eggs?"
Yeah.
And it created the demand. So it's the root of the evil. I'm not saying like it's like that's as bad as factory farming. Chickens actually need the eggs back. So what we do is smash the eggs on the floor for the chickens. They need the nutrients back. These hens have been modified to lay 300 eggs a year.
No, yeah, I'm aware of that because the hens are nothing like they were originally.
Yeah.
It's shame.
Naturally, they'd only lay about 12, so they're lacking all the nutrients from their body. So they really need that back in their system.
However, because I have chickens,
Yeah.
so I'd say they're very incredibly happy. They've got everything. I've got chickens that live like 10 years.
Yeah. Did you rescue the chickens or buy the chickens?
Don't know.
Okay.
I've
So,
bought them.
okay. So if you buy chickens, they all come from somewhere called a hatchery, where they sex the male and the females. The males are classed as a waste product.
Yeah.
And what do you think they do with them?
They kill them.
Yeah.
I do
They go
know
on a
about that.
conveyor belt straight into a blender alive.
I mean, that's what basically arises from the large-scale industrialization of a process that ought to be homegrown. I wish people would grow their own food,
Well,
but
it's more
we live in a very capitalistic society which only allows for.
We have too many people.
Yeah.
It's like done. There's only so many things we can do, but like
Yeah. So
there's so many people that everything is just on a scale that is unreasonable. I think there's nothing wrong with this, but we do things on a scale that's too extreme. I think possibly.
okay. So what about if we could feed the population though without killing the animals and them living plant-based?
Well, I'm 100% for a dramatic reduction in meat consumption.
Why is that?
I myself, I'm mainly for environmental reasons, I say, but
Okay.
but myself included, I eat too much meat. I mean, I'm a lot better than some people, but I eat too much meat, and that's
So I would say, and I used to do this too, you're looking at it from your point of view. This is an injustice from the victim's point of view, and that's the animals, right?
Yeah.
So if we looked at it from the animals' point of view, if we could leave them alone and not harm them
Yeah.
and choose something else to eat, do you think we should?
Well, what is the alternative?
So like plant-based, vegan.
Can you get enough nutrients from just like plants?
Yeah, so the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the biggest academy in the world of nutritionists, state that you can be healthy on a plant-based diet for all stages of life, including pregnancy, infancy. My husband's a bodybuilder, vegan bodybuilder. Protein comes from plants. But if you could be healthy without doing it, do you think that's the moral option?
I guess so.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the conclusion I came to.
It also needs to be like sort of, not too expensive because
Yeah, and luckily, the cheapest foods in the supermarket are vegan. Like your beans, legumes, lentil. An Oxford study came out only recently, it's 30% cheaper. But you can live within your means. Like there's vegan pizza, vegan burgers, which are maybe a little bit more expensive or maybe on par now. But you can live within your means.
I mean, there's
Good questions.
Yeah. Many people in university eat most plant-based diets. I'm sure I'm going to university next year. I'm sure I'll do the same.
What would stop you today, though? Because do you think it's easier for the animal to go to a slaughterhouse or easier for you to move your hand in a supermarket?
Well, I suppose, yeah, that's the kind of way I'm speaking, I suppose. It's quite an idealistic way, and I do understand that.
Yeah.
But I think that fundamentally there is a possible ethical way to consume meat, and I think it's very sparingly in a way that you can maybe keep your own animals, in a way.
Again, if you had one cow in your garden who you love so much, what justification would you use to cut their throat instead of just making beans on toast or a jack potato or something?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, because we've got to look at, you've got to put yourself in their position. Is there an ethical way to eat humans if we don't need to?
Yeah, I know. I agree.
Either
the same
one.
thing, but at the same time, I wouldn't compare humans to cows. I mean,
I'm just
we
trying to
do
get you
have
to-
I know that obviously cows can still feel pain.
Yeah.
and it's not good to basically prolong their suffering or
Do you think
cause
there's
some
an ethical
suffering.
way to eat dogs?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think that they're any different from. I think there's an ethical way to eat. I mean, most animals that are less intelligent than humans. Yeah, it's quite hard to like come up with a threshold, but I do think that's somewhere. I don't think
Do you think intelligence means like if you haven't got as much intelligence that then you can cut the throat? Like I know humans,
not
there's
not
some
into.
humans
Yeah,
with less intelligence.
Yeah.
Like pigs are more intelligent than for an
Yeah.
8-year-old child.
I know, but it's not necessarily about intelligence. It's more about, I suppose, self-awareness and sentience. I suppose.
All these animals are sentient. That's exactly what we say to people. People try and look at what's different, but actually look at what's similar. They feel pain.
Yeah.
They want to live. They have families. They feel joy, fear. They suffer just like we do. So if we can spare them of that, why
suppose-
should we?
I'm really, yeah, I do. I mean, there is a problem with the fact that in some ways, kind of experimental science into what animals feel is quite limited, and I would definitely be interested in learning more about that kind of research.
Yeah, but
I
I
mean,
would also say, like, if you go over to a dog with something hot, they will move away.
Yeah.
Just like we would.
Yeah.
I don't need like scientific evidence
Yeah.
to, even though the evidence is there. I
but
don't-
the action of moving away from a hot object is a reflex action. It goes through a different set
Okay,
of
so
neurons
I've
in your
got a
body.
rescue
It goes
dog
through
at
your
home.
spinal cord rather than your brain.
And when I first had my rescue dog, she was afraid of us because something had happened to her. So she
Yeah.
remembered some sort of suffering or torture that happened to her. So she then was scared,
Yeah.
just like we would be. We would be scared. But it.
Yeah.
I know this
I know
is
what
quite
you mean.
confronting because I know you just walked past and I was just like, boom.
Absolutely no. I'm not. I've got no resentment at all towards any people.
Yeah.
That she's and I completely understand if you were to feel any kind of resentment towards me as well.
No,
I mean,
no. I haven't been vegan all my life.
Yeah.
I grew up just like you guys, eating animals and eating their products, and I buy things RSPCA assured because I loved animals.
yeah,
But then I saw the victim of my choice. I actually saw a mother cow having her throat slashed open for cheese and dairy. I thought, who am I to put someone else through that position?
Yeah.
I don't need that. I don't need to eat animals to survive. So when there's no necessity, there's also no justification. Would you agree?
yeah. I mean, it's again. I'll state again that I know where you're coming from. It's quite a noble standpoint. I think where you're coming from that there is no ethical way to consume another animal because it involves them going through killing essentially
Yeah.
another animal.
Even if there was no pain or anything.
Yeah. And I completely see that. But I do believe that there are more grey stuff, and also for animal products rather than animals themselves. I think that there definitely is an environmental or an ethical way to consume chickens' eggs or honey. Like
Do you
the way
think
my
chickens, even though you know male chicks are blended alive and their egg-laying hens go to a gas chamber?
well, I would say that in a world before we had that, people still kept chickens. I'm not saying that that's a world that we necessarily live in at the moment, but I think imagine if we could consume eggs without doing that. Do you think?
But then it's not viable. It's not viable. And again, the moment we see animals as a product for us, that's when they're treated as a commodity. Like slavery, when we saw like black people, white people used to think they're send them, they're slaves.
Yeah.
And the moment someone thinks that, it's the moment they're abused and used, and we should just give them the right to their own.
I think that's a very noble principle to take, that all animals or all creatures are essentially are basically on the same level. I think that's a really.
I'm not saying on the same level. I'm just saying that their life, their want to live is more than our taste pleasure. They want to live more than us eating their flesh in a sandwich.
Yeah.
We can't even remember probably what we had last week.
Again,
That was their entire life.
Quite a lot of the questions you've asked me is sort of where do I draw the line, and that's it's an interesting question. It's useful to ask yourself basically. But where would you draw the line?
I draw the line when it's not a necessity. So people will be like, oh, well, you
Okay.
walk along the street and you could step on an ant. I don't mean to step on an ant. It's like I could drive a car and accidentally hit someone. Doesn't mean I murder people. It's
Yeah.
an accident.
Right.
But where I can, I will choose to be kind. Because I think that's the baseline. Because if you're not vegan, then you're actually on the opposite side. You're on the side of oppressing others, and that's not a side I wanted to take.
Yeah.
A vegan's actually in the middle. Vegan is someone who causes the least amount of harm possible. I'm an animal rights activist, so I try and help the animals.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do something for them because I've seen their suffering and I feel like I have a duty to educate others because you guys seem like really nice people and you may have just not known. And I was a victim of brainwashing.
I agree with what you're saying about animal rights, and
Yeah.
I agree with that. But when you were saying about the sustainability of, if you were saying slightly earlier about the possibility of a diet where we didn't,
Yeah.
so you suggesting we just eat plants?
Yeah.
Because I know that also doesn't work completely. Because if you were to only do that, like the damages that happen to the butts of the. I don't know the full details.
That's
I
all right.
probably need to research this bit
Yeah.
more. Like I know the amounts of like rainforests have been cleared for like growing like soya, for instance,
Yeah.
and the amount of damage that causes, it's like comparable to.
It's minuscule. So basically there's 80 billion animals in the world used for farming and majority of them eat soy. So the rainforests are being cut down for soy to feed the animals. There's only 8 billion humans on the whole planet. So even if humans want to eat the worst kind of soy, whatever, and cut down rainforest, it would be a tiny amount compared to the massive
I
amount.
still believe that anything to feed the amount of people on Earth, anything in that scale, would be damaging.
But so it's times 10 for the animals. So if we took animal
I
agriculture
get that because
away,
it's called the whole biomass thing. They're
Yeah.
eating and then we're eating them.
The other thing is,
I understand that.
the other thing is that we would free up 75% of the world's land if we didn't have animal agriculture. So 75% more, we would have wild things. And
As in, you mean like to get rid of them? Like, what do you mean by that? Sorry.
so if say like tomorrow the world went vegan, which it wouldn't. That's not
Yeah.
what would
Okay.
happen.
Yeah.
The animals wouldn't be on the land because there's 75% of the world's land.
Where would they go?
So okay, so I didn't explain that properly. These animals are forced into existence. It's
Yeah.
not a natural process.
Yeah.
To keep up
I
with
agree.
demand.
They're in they've been bred and to have an excessive amount
Yeah.
we eat.
So in reality, the world will do this. Veganism will come up, and the demand for animals will go down.
Yeah.
And by the time veganism is so high, there'll be so many people, so many sanctuaries who want to look after the animals that have been left. But these animals aren't natural animals, so we'll put them into sanctuaries and look after them there.
But
A lot of them will go extinct.
I think
Yeah, they will go extinct because they're not natural animals. They're man-made.
We're brought there for us.
Sorry.
We're kind of.
Yeah.
Again,
So we modified them to profit for us and give us.
and I understand that, but at the same time, if the entire world tomorrow, I mean, it's very far-fetched
Yeah.
that they decide to go vegan like that.
Yeah.
What do you think all the farmers would do to the animals? I mean, I'm getting to
Yeah,
very
yeah. So this is
hypothetical,
hypothetical, and that won't happen. But so I don't know if there's much point going into that because that's not a reality that will happen. But good questions. I like how open-minded you are. I like that you want to learn more.
Yeah.
What I say to you, check out Pignorant.
Yeah.
This documentary on Amazon Prime. The guy on the megaphone's the guy I explained. He put the cameras into the gas chamber. It really exposes a lot of the truth, and I feel like people deserve to know. Like, we have a right to know what we've been paying for. Only when you're educated, you can get motivated for change.
I'm very, very excited about people basically just expressing their freedom of speech and protest anyway.
Thank
I
you,
think that's a very good thing to do. So,
Thank
I mean, I really commend what you're doing. I don't even mind what cause it's for. You're going out and you're doing something you believe in. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, it was really nice to have a conversation.
And you as well. Thank you. You guys seem so nice. Yeah, check out Pignorant on Amazon Prime. And there's also another documentary called Dominion. I really urge you to watch that. It's a hard watch, but please educate yourself because I felt so heartbroken when I realised I was paying for that and I didn't know all my life. So
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Where's this guy?
We have a YouTube channel, so we have like an activist channel for the animals. It's called Mel and Steve, or it's Mel and Steve on YouTube if you want to see the video. Thank you guys. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.
Are we going down into the gas?
We're going to get caught.